Most homes don't have a drainage system. They just have water dumping everywhere. Today, we're fixing that.
Good. All right, this is the last piece of pipe. Looks good. Just hand this to you. Just put it on the ground. I'll get it after. There. Okay, here's a little look at the pipe that we're going to be using. We're going to be using basically 3 types of pipe. This is thin wall, and we're only going to be using this for the downspouts, the part that's above ground, because it looks nice with the gutters. SDR 35 is the pipe that we use under the ground, and this is double the thickness of thin wall. And now he's going to be driving a truck and trailer on a section, and that section is going to have the Schedule 40, which is double the thickness as the SDR 35. Over here. Welcome back. Today, Tom and I are going to be working on this house. We're putting in a whole house drainage collection system, and that involves getting all the downspouts hooked in. We have a sump pump line, a condensation line, and we're going to run all those lines off the property to get it away from the house, away from the foundation, and just get it off their property. That's what he called us to do. He's going to get all new downspouts, so he's changing the gutters he has now to the bigger 3x4s, and so we're going to be putting those in, even though we're not going to attach the downspouts totally. And we're going to be putting in over 300 feet of pipe. So hope you enjoy this project. So now we're going to be marking out the electric line that the electric company never marks. They have a underground electric line that is goes to the garage, and all the other lines are above, going to the house. They never mark this one. When we do the other side of the house, they have a private gas line that goes to the backyard, and when we did the estimate, Tom located it, and it's less than a foot. So we're going to be looking at that again because our marks have faded, and we have to be real careful when we go around that. So again, hope you like the project. Should be a fun one. All right, now Tom's going to locate an electric line that runs to the garage, which we had a mark out done when we came for the estimate, and we had a mark out done for this starting a job, and neither time did the marking people mark it. All right, so I got my flags. Tom's getting a locator ready, and then we'll find an electric line. Has to get his grounding rod in.
So I got my little jumper there. The hot and the neutral are cut, so all it is a ground wire, and so I send a radio signal down the ground wire, and that's how I locate it.
That's your jumper right there?
Yep. So we got tone, that means we're okay. Looking for the highest number. We're going down, so it's back in here. This is 2'9".
All right, let me follow Tom. Let's go over here.
I know, it shows it back here. That's another way you test to make sure you're on the right line. Is see this has to be perpendicular to the line. So if I come up, get my highest reading about there, if I turn this, see it goes way down because I'm not perpendicular to the line. Come back perpendicular, so I know I'm on the right line. There's 4 feet right here, so the line goes like this and then up. For some reason, 811 did not mark this, and we called in a mark out. They said all the utilities were not in conflict and up in the air, but this is a line that runs through that garage with its own meter.
All right, let me start over. Let me explain the job. Okay, we just located the electric line that goes to the garage. We are going to be extending his downspout there under the sidewalk and bringing it down to a pop-up over here. Pretty straightforward. And this will be all SDR 35 till we get to here, and then we're going to change over to schedule 40 because he drives over this to get to the garage in the back with the truck and trailer, so that has to be more heavy duty. So the downspouts there is going to go under the sidewalk. Then this is all going to be schedule 40. This comes back here, and we're going to be picking up this downspout over here, and we're running these 2 downspouts, like I said, about 15 feet away from the curb. Get this water away from the foundation. Okay, then we're going to be going over here. Here we're going to be picking up these 2 downspouts. And we're going to be putting a little soil in here because it has a little erosion right there. And over here we're going to be picking up this sump pump here. And this sump pump only runs when it rains. And we're going to be picking up this downspout. And there's a condensation line over here. So we'll also tie this condensation line in there. No reason for that to be dripping there. So we're going to be putting a catch basin in here. He has Velcro doors over there. Occasionally he gets a little water down there, so he wants to be able to run just a sump pump on occasion into the basin. Not something that's permanent, just once in a while. This does get a little more tricky because there is a private gas line here that goes that way to the grill. When we did the initial estimate, we located the gas line and it's less than a foot deep. So we have to be really careful when we're digging here. Tom's just figuring out the pipe to get it out of the backyard. These are cement lentils. They go down about 20 inches deep. This is to keep the dogs from digging out. So we have to go right through this spot, go over to here to get this downspout. That's pretty good. And then we're going to have a clean out right about here. Yeah, that's a rough outline of where we're going to go to. So the pop-up will end right there. We will put a little swale in here so the water will run down this better. And this side of the yard has a drain right here. He does not want to go through the town to get the permit to go into there, especially since it's only to one side, and the other side is not going to have that. We'll just end it to 15 feet from the road. Okay, we're going to cut up the sod and try to put as much back as we can, but some spots aren't that great. We'll see what we can do. We got all the sod picked up. Like I said, we'll try to put back most of it. Tom started digging already. And this is an old sprinkler line. He says when he moved in, it didn't work. And so that can be just cut out. Don't have to worry about any sprinkler lines at this house. Got a lot of rocks in the soil. But there was probably a rock driveway that went all the way to the garage at one time. That's probably why there's so many rocks.
And we drop it 1 inch.
And he's dropping it 1 inch. Oh, you have a mic on. I don't have to repeat you today. So then Tom dropped it 1 inch, and now he's going to slope the laser, and then we'll have a slope all the way down to the pop-up, a 1 inch slope. There you go. Perfect. So now Tom will put the receiver on his bucket, and then we don't need to use this anymore. Tom will put the receiver on there, and then he can see the slope as he's digging.
So we got this set to 1%, but it drops off at the end. So I'll follow the laser, but I also have a mark on my bucket at 8 and 10 inches. So as soon as this trench gets below 10 inches, then I'll just use the bucket only and I won't use the laser anymore.
And here's what it looks like. You have to go? All right, so this run here to the street is about 100 feet. So we're gonna put a catch basin here. Now we have 100 foot basically of pipe. Like I said, this is about 50 feet. The main purpose is to get access into the pipe. You can take this off, camera through here, jetter, hose, anything, if you need to ever maintain these pipes. So Tom's gonna take the drill and go under the sidewalk. Should be fine.
Huh?
Should be fine. All right, Tom is definitely through. Now he has to break up this brick right here. We talked to the customer already. This is just like fill for this thing. Good. one more. Okay, okay, good. Okay, we'll let that sit up. This is our schedule 40. And now we're gonna just work over here on this downspout part. Like that.
All right, and then we have to cut a piece for the bottom.
Okay.
About 7.
Okay.
Looks like about 27. Should be 76 and a half.
76 and a half? Okay. Wait. Oh, I got this. Gotta get that out. All right, so this is still dry fitted here. We didn't finish that yet. But all this is glued. There's a clean out. Right here by the gate, it turns into schedule 40. All this is glued up. Looks good. And we'll continue here, and this will also be schedule 40 right here.
So we'll bring that thing back so we can do that better.
All right, I think we're gonna go home real quick. See how this pipe goes in? The auger went under fine, just it went in crooked. And there's all this rock underneath here, so you can't get it to go that way. So we have a tool that we're gonna have to use and manually scrape underneath here, because it's really thick concrete, and the stone is really packed under there. You see over here, the pipe is coming in at an angle, and we don't like that. We want it to come in the middle. There's too much stuff on the side here, so we want to get that tool so we can bring this pipe over, and we have that at home. So we'll go do that, run home, get that tool, because that has to be fixed first before we tie into that main line over there. Go a little bit more this way. Go slow, I'll try to catch it. I'll just give you a little update in between the rain. So we got that all glued in. Tom got under the sidewalk better with this little tool here. This will dig roots, rocks, all kinds of stuff under the sidewalks. This is schedule 40. And now, right here, we turn back to going back to SDR 35. Tom's getting the basin drilled out, holes in the basin. Then we'll put some rock in there, level that up, and then we'll continue on. We're getting ready to put this side of the pipe on. And the last 10 feet, we're going to be putting perforated SDR 35. It's got the holes on the bottom. And we're doing that because it has really good sandy soil. We have a hole in the pop-up emitter. That just gives the water a faster way to get out of the pipe after a storm. Okay, push it to you. I got 6 inches to the end. Give you a quick look at the pipe before we fill it in. It's been raining all morning. Looks like it's slowing down now. There's the catch basin. We put stone underneath. Okay, that goes over to where he's gonna put his downspout. This is all schedule 40. There it turns back to SDR35, clean out, and the downspout. Tom's just putting a little bit of dirt in there, and then I'm going to go and bed in under the pipe. First I'm going to go over here.
Got that at the link, right?
That looks real nice. So this will have to be seated. And we're gonna lower this tomorrow. All right, we're back this morning. We're just getting these boards all cleaned up, getting his dirt. He has a big spot he wants to put back there, all this dirt. And at least it's beautiful today. Over here, he wants us to dump all the dirt. He's going to reuse it later. All right, so now we got to work our way out and get these boards out of here. This is the start of the second phase of this job. All right, so now Tom's going to be taking out a few bushes a customer asked if we could help him out with. When we did the estimate, we actually located some of the lines. So at this house, he has a private gas line that goes to the back grill, and it is extremely shallow. The locator says less than 1 foot when we were here doing the estimate, so we're just going to relocate it now. Put some flags in this time. We don't put flags or anything when we're doing estimates.
The tone means we got a signal.
Now this is a private gas line, that's why they did not mark it. They will not mark private gas lines.
Let's try that. Says less than a foot.
Less than a foot. All right. Right there?
Yep.
All right, so on this side of the house, we're doing kind of the same thing. We're putting a pop-up right here. We are making a swale so the water comes down this hill. We have to be 15 feet away from the street with the pop-up. And we are tying in that downspout and that downspout. We're gonna have a main line right here, away from the gas line. Gas lines in there. They have a secondary gas line that goes to the grill over here. We marked it. So it comes out here and it goes over to the grill. So we're tying in this downspout and back there a condensation line. Sump pump over here that we're going to be tying into. Comes out here. It only runs when he gets a lot of rain. Other than that, it never runs. He has no high water table here. And maybe once we get all this water away from the house, he won't have that problem. Tom's marking where the main line's gonna go. Get our pipes set up. And we are 2 feet away from, at least 2 feet away from that gas line. So that downspout's gonna run into this line, that downspout's coming from there. They will tie into the main line right here and go out to the street. Ah, that's a light one. All right, we're cutting out a little bit of the sod, even though a lot of it is not usable. It's very sandy over here and it's not very rooted together. All right, so Tom's gonna start digging over here. Catch basin's going right there. Condensation line. Downspout. That gas line is under these boards. So we don't have to worry about that until we get to that little spot over there.
We're going to check the slope and see what this natural slope is.
All right, Tom's checking the slope because this property goes down. So he's going to see what the natural slope is. So we are going downhill. That's the 15 feet from the street. And he's going to see how many inches we have a slope. All right, so there's 21 inches from the 0 point to here.
12.5 inches would be 1%. 25 inches would be 2%. I don't know, I can't think. So it's around 1.6, 1.7.
Okay. So this line will have at least 1.5%, if not more, depending on when he gets down there, if he goes deeper. As soon as he gets past the AC units and the gas line over there, then I'm going to start digging this condensation line over here. Just put the laser receiver on here, then he knows for sure he's going at his 1.5% slope.
Where is it?
Like 8 inches down. So that's right where this said, and this said it was under a foot.
Well, that is, oh, it's a copper line. Whoa.
Yeah, copper. All right, so I'll dig around this. This is right where we marked it. Private line.
You just line up the lines. Okay.
That's pretty good.
11.5. We'll go 6.
Okay. You done it. Awesome. Okay, that's the freeze protection they had on there, and we don't like to have open freeze protection because mice and chipmunks can get in there. Even though those are small holes, they can definitely get in there. We always use a closed system, which this will be attached to that. This comes off if it ever freezes, and then it can shoot out the top. But that's what it's going to look like. Tom's just got to connect those. He was just dry fitting them. He just went to get the reducer. Good. Okay, go. Okay. Looking good. Ready? A little more. Okay. All right, this is the last piece of pipe.
Is it long enough? Yeah, it looks like.
Ready? That's good. That's good.
Nice.
Okay, it's Friday afternoon and I have 5% battery left. So I will show you real quick all the pipe installed. Here's a catch basin. That's to catch any leaves or debris that comes off the roof. So that's that. We got those two downspouts over there. Tied into the sump pump that way. Like I said, he has a crawl space, not a basement. There's a look at the pipe. Let me close his Velcro doors. And we got this downspout here, condensation line, and his extra catch basin, like he asked us, for that occasional sump pump that he just runs with the hose over to here. So that'll be nice and easy for him if he needs to. We'll be back Monday morning. We are going to get rain tomorrow, Saturday. We don't know how much. They said it's going to be a steady rain all day. So I don't know if we'll get back here to tape that. We'll see. We're not filling this in because it's late Friday. And we don't want to rush it. We have to make sure everything's bedded in nice. So we'll be back Monday morning to do that. get all this wet dirt off of these boards, especially because they make them really heavy. Okay, Tom just has to switch buckets. Then we're going to grade some of this off to make it not such a steep hill. So he says it's hard to mow the grass because of the way it goes down. And we'll put a little swale in there so the water from the pop-up will go right down to the street quick. What is holding that in? There we go. Okay, nice. That's looking better already. Good. You're doing a swale after? Yeah. Okay. Looks good. We need dirt here to raise this up a little bit. So I'm gonna bring that bucket over here. One last thing we're doing is this pop-up. You can see it's low. We're making a swale here so it goes to the street. And we're going to do that with the sod cutter. So we'll take the sod cutter, lift the sod off, and then dig the dirt down, put the sod back on. And look, it wasn't even hot and our sod died. we now made a swale from that pop-up. So now this is low and it will go right out there, right out to the street. All right, so this job is done. Thought I'd start in the back here for this downspout. So here's our downspouts. Like I said, he's getting the bigger downspouts put in. So we subbed them out with the larger 3x4s. This is our vent and a clean out. And then we have a clean out right here, access for the pipes. Schedule 40, wherever he's going to drive over it. I'm very disappointed that the sod didn't live. It wasn't even that hot, but I guess with no water. And then we have this downspout over here. So that's what that one looks like. So I'm going to be seeding all this and putting straw down. This is the catch basin. Tom's going around putting screws in. I don't think I can open it without a screwdriver. Now we have 100-foot basically of pipe from the back to the pop-up over there. And on each side we put a clean out, which serves access for the pipes. You want to be able to get inside and inspect everything. You can take this off, you can jet it, you can run a hose through it. It also collects any leaves and debris off the roofs, and that will settle into here, and then you can clean this out. But the main purpose is to have access to the pipe. So like I said, this is about 50 feet. All right, and all this empties into a pop-up. And if you remember, the last 10 feet is perforated. Plus we have a hole in the bottom of the pop-up, so no water will settle there, and he has nice sandy soil. So no water will settle. And this is a hinge. No spring to break. So we kind of like those the best. And we did make a swale. If you saw, we cut the sod up, took all the dirt out from the middle here, and made a gradual swale. And that will go right down the street. And this side actually has a street catch basin. All right, and this side, we graded this, made this a nice tapered hill instead of that big steep hill that went straight down. He said it was hard to mow this, so this should be a little easier. So over here, we made a swale going down from the pop-up. If you can see that on camera. Same thing, we have our pop-up here. Right there. But we got the two downspouts here and the downspout in the back. We did put a catch basin here. Same with the other side. And that is halfway the distance from the back all the way to the front. So this is here for two reasons. The main reason is access for the pipes. Even though each of our downspouts have vents that you could take off and you can run a jetter or a hose, but this is an easy way to get in here. You can run a camera through here if you need to ever maintain these pipes. So if anything ever happens, you can easily get into it from here. And that way you're not digging up the whole system if something goes wrong. You can pinpoint the problem right away. Okay, the other thing we did was we took out this hump so water can go through here and get out that way. I don't know how good it shows on camera. And we put a little bit of dirt along the house and brought it out like that. It would just hold water there. So we brought it up and then we made a swale right in here. And it breaks both ways. So it breaks that way and it also breaks this way. But now with the downspouts like this, you should get a lot less water here. It used to puddle right along here. So that should get rid of all that. So here we have the sump pump, and that goes into a crawl space here, no basement. but that way he can get rid of any water. And he said that only happened in a heavy rain that he ever got water in a crawl space. So hopefully now he won't get any, since we got all the water away from the house. Here's the sump pump, and if it ever freezes, you would just have to unscrew this for the sump pump, and then the water would just shoot out in an emergency. Here we have this downspout, and remember we put this catch basin in, so then he can just run a regular manual sump pump and just put a hose into here if he needs to. So if you're putting in a system, always include the condensation line, because people don't realize how much water they're actually putting in the ground, especially it's going right next to the foundation. I'm just getting the rest of the screws in, and now we just got a seed and straw. So that was a look at the project. Let me get to seeding. Oh, you might be able to see the swale a little better from here. That way it goes right out to the street after it comes out. So once this seed is up, that's gonna be really nice. Get that water away from the house. All right, everything is all seeded and strawed. So now it's up to the customer to water. So that's the end of the video. If you have any standing water, mud in your yard, or want to get the water away from the foundation, give us a call. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.